Mongolia is a proud country that was bound together as a nation by Genghis Khan and unified in spirit by the precious teachings of Buddhism. In this program, we look at Mongolia's rich and unique Buddhist history. For over 2,000 years, Mongolia was a leader in Buddhist culture, excelling in philosophy, art, and science. During the 70 years of communist suppression, this unique culture barely survived. Forced to practice in secret, monks and lay people struggled to keep the precious teachings alive. 2 generations of Mongolians were robbed of their Buddhist cultural identity. Today, the younger generation has a powerful opportunity to learn how the treasures of their past can make them leaders in a world turning to Buddhism.
When it comes to other countries, each nation has its own religious heritage. So when the people of these various countries follow the religious traditions in which they are raised, their native religious heritage, then this is very stable, this is firm. But in the case of Mongolia and Tibet, our own native religious heritage is Buddhist. We are followers of the Buddhists. It is our religious tradition in which we have been raised by our own parents. So it is important that we preserve our own native religious heritage.
Now, in Mongolia, you have this incredible, rich history of Buddhism, which has served you well for thousands of years. And you had this incredibly brutal period, tragedy of 70 years of domination by a communist overculture. You're in a very difficult position right now.
The new generation doesn't know very well about our own identity and our own culture. And during this time, the Mongolian culture is being exploited. I think I have to educate them. I have to hurry to make them know about our culture, and also I have to act as a transition between the old generation and the new generation without mistake.
Buddhism, one of the fastest growing religions in the West, started in India. Over 2,500 years ago, Shakyamuni Buddha attained enlightenment under the Bodhi tree and began teaching the Sutra and Tantra paths to liberation and full enlightenment. By the 3rd century BC, Mongolia had adopted these precious teachings.
Mongolian states of Hunu and Niron had Buddhism as their state religions. Several ancient Mongolian states had Buddhism as their state religions. That was the first stage of Buddhism up until Genghis Khan.
The Great Khan's armies conquered all of Asia except Tibet. Tibetans first maintained their independence by paying tax. When Genghis Khan died, Prince Godon requested the Sakyapantita come to Mongolia to teach Buddhism to the Mongolian people. The Sakyapantita traveled with his nephews as hostages to Mongolia in order to avoid bloodshed and mass destruction. They soon succeeded in converting the Godon Khan to Buddhism. The Sakyapantita was the supreme ornament of the Kublai Khan's kingdom after his arrival. The purity of his attainments and teachings created great faith in the Buddhist path among the Kublai Khan and his court. After the death of Sakyapantita, his nephew, Phagpa Lama, took his place, becoming the Kublai Khan's spiritual advisor and teacher. Buddhism was the most popular religion in court circles, but did not blossom in the general population until Altan Khan invited the Tibetan Lama Sonam Gyatso to Mongolia in 1578.
From the Kublai Khan to the Togon Timur Khan, there were 16 kings in the Mongolian Yun dynasty empire. At that time, everybody regarded Buddhism as the state religion for 2,000 to 3,000 years. Buddhism was the most important religion in Mongolia. That was the middle stage of Buddhism. Then the third Dalai Lama came to Mongolia.
Altan Khan conferred on him the title of Dalai Lama, or Ocean of Wisdom. Sonam Gyatso, His Holiness the Third Dalai Lama, was considered the emanation of Chenrezig, the Buddha of compassion. He dedicated his life to teaching the Dharma to the people of Mongolia, and Buddhism began to flourish in popular culture. The Mongols based their Buddhist doctrine, practice, and communal organization on Tibetan models, but they developed and adapted them in a distinctive way. Examples can be seen in the extraordinary art and architecture used in the building of the first Buddhist monastery in Mongolia. Erden-zu, built in 1586 by Abdai Khan near the old capital of Karakorum. Erden-zu was said to have had 10,000 monks, 108 samdancers, and 30 temples. It was surrounded by 108 stupas. The extraordinary artist and sculptor Zanabazar, born in 1635, became the first Kalka Jetsun Dempa, or Bogd Khan. During his reign as head of state, Zanabazar brought a new way to Mongolian education, culture, society, and political life. His disciples established the capital of Mongolia in Ulaanbaatar. The symbol that he created became the Mongolian state coat of arms emblem. Buddhism continued to grow in popularity and influence in Mongolian society. Within a few decades, Mongolian culture had transformed to include over 700 monasteries, and 1/3 of the male population were ordained monks. Mongolian monks and scholars excelled at the study of philosophy. So much so that when the 13th Dalai Lama came to visit in 1904, Mongolian monks defeated him in the art of debating Buddhist philosophy. The 8th Jetsun Dempa was secular and political leader of Mongolia until his death in 1924. The period of Soviet domination began, and the threat to the survival of Mongolian Buddhism became extreme.
In 1937, during the political repression, I was 24 or 25 years old. At that time in Mongolia, there were 700 monasteries and temples. But between 1937 and 1938, in only 2 years, all the monasteries and temples were destroyed. There were 100,000 monks and students at 700 monasteries and temples, and they were all executed. This is a picture of my guru teacher, Tara teacher, the one who was 58 years old, and this picture was shot just before his execution. He was executed October 25th, 1937.